concerns was growing the chapter, getting more people here, building up more seats filled so we can pass more business. So a couple things that I think could help us all to bring in more visitors. And today, there's no lack of visitors. This is great. As far as us as members, we can visit other chapters, even if your seat is filled, okay? Go as the mayor of chapter 34. Look at their roster and pick 2 or 3 seats that they've filled and ask members if they can refer their colleagues. I did that yesterday. I went to chapter 46 and I met a florist, and his brother is coming into the business. It looks like he needs to get into a group. So I said, you know, we have a great makeup artist, we have a great photographer. He said, I met Sharon last week. She had subbed at our group. I really liked her. I was like, great, why don't you come and visit? So he's gonna come next Thursday, and hopefully he's gonna introduce his brother to the group, and we're gonna get a florist in. Another way you can do this, and you can go through your Rolodex or cell phone, choose a few people you want to invite. Don't worry if they're a great fit for the group or if you want them to join, just invite them for the experience. We can't win unless we're in the game. It's not up to us if they want to join or if they can benefit from one of the member services, but I assure you, if you don't ask, they're not going to show up. So one other thing I wanted to mention was our total closed business of last week. It's $6,870. Our total closed business for the year is $160,934. And I wanted to mention something to just talk about guests one more time. Sharon invited a guest to the group. Ken Freed actually made a connection with the guest, and he got her a job. She's a hairdresser. What's her name? Jill. Jill came to the group as a guest. She closed $775 in business just because she came to our meeting. I don't think anyone wouldn't want to close $775 in business. So that's the power of bringing guests. We can help them and they can help us. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you, Jimmy C. Turning it over now to Avi Ashkenazi to announce our upcoming speakers.
Okay.
And the featured speaker of the week.
Today our featured speaker will be our president, Leah Fisch, and I'll get back to you in about a minute. Next week we will be having Will McDermott. Will's not here, but he wants to meet PR professionals, marketing directors, and web coders. So if you guys know any of those 3, please bring them next week.
Can you say that one more time?
Sure, PR professionals, marketing directors, and web coders.
Web quote.
Not sure what that means, but web coders.
Coder.
Coders, C-O-D-E-R, coders. On the 25th, we'll be having our makeup artist, Sharon Becker. September 1st, we will be having Ken Freed, and on the 8th of September, we'll be having Jared Finkelstein. Without further ado, Leah Fisch. Leah Fisch Reorganizer LLC. She is a reorganizer in New York City. She's been in business now for 9.5 years. Previous types of jobs, she was a wedding and event photographer, intuitive body worker, and a waitress. Her hobbies are Pilates. Who do you do Pilates with?
You know, I do it around town.
With Brittany.
I have done it with Brittany, and she's awesome.
And salsa dancing. Her activities of interest, reading about changing one's perspective about the world, dinner parties, and connecting people. And she's lived in the West Village for 6.5 years. Her burning desire is to have 400 people at her stand-up comedy show on December 4th. Something that no one knows about me, she loves thumb wrestling, okay?
And I'm really good at it.
Well, yeah. Challenge you after. Our key to success is communication, follow-up, remembering details, and making people feel special. Leah Fisch.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, all of you, for being here. It's really an honor to be able to talk to you for 10 minutes and to have your undivided attention. So I'm very excited. Hopefully you will take something away from this that you find helpful. A bit of background about me, as Avi mentioned, one of the things I did was I was a waitress, and actually I found, and Jimmy C. having, I'm sure many of us have experience in the waitressing, in the food service industry, and you can actually make quite a bit of money at it if you work hard, and I did that, and I would work in food service, and then I would travel and learn different languages and, you know, do salsa dancing in different countries and really just kind of live like that. So I had just been living in Costa Rica for 3 months, and I came back and I was 25 years old and was kind of like, well, what am I going to do now? And my mother called me And she was very excited. She said, I've been listening to WOR, to Joan Hamburger's a show on WOR radio. She said, I figured it out, you're going to be an organizer. And I said, that sounds great. What's that? And she said, she'd been listening to an interview with Joan Hamburg, who had been interviewing an organizer from NAPO, the National Association of Professional Organizers, and she said the line, clutter is a decision delayed. And my mother said, oh my God, that's so Leah. Leah will love that. And so it was one of those things that I realized I'd always been doing it my whole life, not because I was so organized, but because people ask me what my training is to be a reorganizer, and I tell them 34 years growing up in a family of sentimental Jewish pack rats. So being around that all the time and understanding that when you move someone's stuff and they say, oh my God, where's my, you can't just move my stuff. It's like, you start to realize how other people relate to their things. So I was 25 years old. I became a reorganizer. I started helping people. My first job was in estate cleaning. Someone had passed away, and I helped the family go through everything, donate everything to charities that really honored the person who had passed away in a way that was very easy for them to deal with so they could focus on grieving and dealing with all of the estate papers. From there, they referred me to a friend of theirs who actually had 2 sets of twins, and like Carrie and Jonathan, she and her husband were having a lot of difficulty, and I helped them with their stuff and their organizing and their time and that kind of thing. So I was working in New York for a couple of years as a reorganizer, and it was going great, but I started to feel that my mind was atrophying. At the same time, I had noticed all these patterns that kept repeating in the way that people clutter, in the way that people hold on to their things. So for example, Jews love plastic bags. You may or may not know that. People who come from the Depression, and also immigrants, people who have had to flee the place where they're from, they want to preserve the things that they have. I guess Sharon Becker is really bag of bags. Who here has not seen a bag of bags from a New Yorker that you know? What? You've not, or has? Okay, sorry, has. People have bag of bags, and especially, when we live in tighter quarters, we start to think, on the one hand, oh my God, I better get rid of this. I don't have any space, but on the other hand, it's like, well, I don't want to have to schlep, all this way to go buy something. Let me just find somewhere where I can keep it. So, so Jews love plastic bags. I found differences in races, across races that I was working with. I also found that people who were from divorced parents tend to keep things in ways that were different. I kept seeing these patterns all the time. And I was integrating them into the work when I would talk to people, and they would say, growing up, my parents were divorced, and I was able to say certain things that they would say, actually, yes, how'd you know that? And I said to myself, patterns, using this information makes me better at my job. So after a while doing it, even though it was really fun and I was quite successful at it, I felt I really need more mental stimulation. So I moved to London, and I got a degree in demography. Does anyone here know what demography is? Elizabeth?
Study of patterns, basically. It's demographics.
Yeah.
People, population, things, right?
Exactly. It's a study of patterns, birth, death, and migration specifically. And I thought, oh, if I love studying patterns, I'll love this degree. Little did I know how much statistics and math was involved in studying patterns. It's not just observing people in their plastic bags. It's really, there's a lot more to studying demography. Nonetheless, with no background in demography, I did manage to get my thesis this is an environmental epidemiological study, and this is studying the effect of the 2003 heat wave on London hospital admissions, so seeing if there was a change. I'm going to pass it around. Please don't spill coffee on it. But this is my thesis. Feel free to take a look at that and enjoy the fact that the answer is, spoiler alert, there was no effect. So actually, at this time, I'm going to pass around. This is a sheet that I developed, a worksheet. After years of working with my clients, I started doing workshops for people who wanted to do some reorganizing, but they didn't necessarily want to make the investment, or they weren't comfortable having someone come into their home, and they were kind of like, well, let's see what I can do without someone seeing the hideosity that I actually have at home. So I'm going to pass this around, and I'm going to give everyone of my precious 10 minutes, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to take a moment. You don't have to share this with anyone. You're the only one who's going to see it. So take a moment to be really honest, get in deep, and answer the questions. I'm never going to see it, neither is anyone around you. So just really, really key in and try to answer it honestly, and I'll give you 3 minutes. And Rod Milam's just going to walk around. He's not going to film you two. He's just going to walk around and film you guys just writing in your notes, and I'll be back in 2.5 minutes.
So if I'm Jewish and divorced, I'm screwed, right?
Just fill out your seat, Avi.
What?
Fill out your seat. What's that? Yeah, I'm mic'd here. Do you need a pen? I'm going to try.
Nice shot.
Thanks. Does anyone else need a pen? You need a pen? Here. Sure. Are you filling out the sheet? They're most of it. I'm thinking of the other ones. Okay. You can do your own slow again. Just give you 1 more minute. Masters of Science. And of course, feel free to take them with you and use them later on in the day. So does anyone want to share something, not that they wrote on the sheet, but that they noticed about filling out the sheet? Megan?
I was just writing a note that there's something really cathartic about this kind of exercise. Like just the act of writing these things down makes you feel a little better.
Awesome. Anyone else notice anything? Sharon?
Very emotional.
It was emotional? Seriously?
Oh yeah. I got a little bit more.
Yeah. Jared? What's that? Yeah. Totally. Anyone from this side? Mo?
It makes you sort of, you're debating on how honest you want to do yourself.
Yeah, totally. So all of those things are totally true. When I came back from London, I had realized that as much as I enjoyed doing this work, I didn't have necessarily all of the skills that I needed to work with people who, I would come into their homes and in 5 minutes they would say, Leah, why did I have children? Or Leah, I filed for divorce and my husband doesn't know. And I was like, what am I doing here? And so I went to study narrative therapy, which is a form of talk therapy. I'm not a therapist, but I'm certified in levels 1 and 2 of talk therapy. And it's a deconstructionist form of talk therapy with the belief that that we are the author of our own narrative, and we have the ability to re-author that narrative at any time. And I use many of those skills in working with people. And as Jared pointed out, I think when people are looking for an apartment, they have the idea that Jimmy knows that it's all about what kind of apartment they want. Or if they're working with a Pilates instructor, Brittany knows it's really about, about their bodies. And I'll just finish up here, but I think a lot of people have the sense that, working with an organizer is going to be about the organizer telling them what to do. And that's actually not what I'm there for. I'm there, as Jared said, to find out what they need to work on and then to help them work on those things in a way that really works for them, and whether that's their time or their space or their stuff, in a way that really supports them going about their business and feeling good about who they are. So feel free to take these with you and to get really, honest with them, and I hope that you find them helpful. And thank you very much for your time. Me again. So as you can tell, for even I'm sure some of you in the chapter who've known me for almost 4 years may not have, known some of the things that I do with people or known these kinds of details about me. So too, in 45 seconds, it's really hard to learn. That's at the end, yeah, thank you. And so too, it's hard to get to hear in 45 seconds what it is that people really do. So Bob Russo is going to give us 2 minutes to turn to the person you don't know next to you and set up a one-to-one meeting. Set up a one-to-one meeting with that person so you can get to know them and learn how you can help each other grow your businesses. Bob Russo, 2 minutes.